Troy Fisher here, real food enthusiast for Pasture Delights, and I'm here today to talk to you about my favorite fermented beverage, Kefir. If you're not already making and drinking Kefir, I highly suggest that you do. It's a powerful probiotic packed with dozens of strains of bacteria. And if you happen to be somebody who has problems with lactose, you don't have to worry about Kefir like you do milk, because the bacteria have done all the heavy lifting for you and have broken down all those milk sugars for you. So what we're going to need today is we're going to need a jar. I'm just going to use a quart mason jar. We're going to need some breathable material that we can cover it with and something to secure it with. I'm just going to use a rubber band and some Kefir grains. I have a 2-ounce jar of some Kefir grains that have been stored in some milk that's probably turned to Kefir already. And so what we're going to do to get started here, it's real simple. So we're going to take the contents of this, which is mainly Kefir grains and a little bit of milk that was stored in, that's turned into Kefir at that time, and we're just going to empty the contents into our jar. Now this is about enough Kefir to make, about a pint or so, give or take a little bit, of Kefir with. So we're going to take some milk, preferably raw milk, and we're going to add about a pint to it. So this is a quart container, so I'm just going to add a little bit more than halfway to it. And that should be a good amount for this amount of grains to be able to ferment. Now the fermentation time on Kefir is going to be somewhere 24 to 48 hours. And the temperature that you're looking at, just can do it at room temperature. And you're going to be looking for a temperature somewhere between 65 degrees Fahrenheit and say about a maximum of 80 degrees Fahrenheit. And now the fermentation, what the Kefir is going to be like at the end is going to be determined a little bit about by the time and temperature. So the longer you ferment it for, the more sour and tangy the Kefir is going to be at the end. So if you go longer, it will be more sour. Also, if the temperatures tend to be higher, that will increase the amount of fermentation that's happening. So if your house is warmer, it's going to be more tangy and more sour tasting. You really don't need to worry about agitating it all during this time period. You can just set it on your counter and be fine. If you do stir it, which you can do as well, it will tend to increase the fermentation process and you'll get a more sour Kefir at the end. I suggest you go ahead and experiment with making your own Kefir. Try it a couple different ways, make it more fermented or less fermented, and see how you like its taste. So at this point in time, what we're just going to have to do is we're just going to have to let it sit here. So we'll give it some time and we'll come back. Alright, so it's been about 36 hours and we're ready to go ahead and finish the Kefir. So for this step, what we're going to need is we're going to need another jar to put the Kefir in. We're going to need a plastic or wooden spoon to stir it up with. We're going to need a plastic or wooden strainer to strain the Kefir, the grains out of the Kefir with, and then some other container so that when we strain the grains out, we have some place to put them. So let's go ahead and get started here. First thing we're going to do is we're going to stir this up. So if you notice here, the top's kind of gotten thicker. A lot of the grains have gone to the top, and we'll go ahead and stir it up just so it's going to be a little easier to strain, so it's not kind of clumpy on the top. But the grains are still in there. So we take this, just take our plastic strainer, and we're going to strain it out. Now, if you notice, I did specify that we're going to be using a plastic or wooden utensils with it, and that's because the Kefir grains, they're a symbiotic colony of bacteria, and they don't really like metal that much. So if you leave them in contact with metal for too long, they'll end up stunning their growth, or too much, and you can actually kill them. So now we've got the grains out. I did just put another container in case we wanted to put them in something else. And so now you've got your Kefir that's ready to be used however you want it to. You can drink it. You can use it in other things. It makes a good base for smoothies. It also stores real well. So if you're not ready to do anything with it right now or use it right now, you can just close it up, store it in your fridge. You'll store it in your fridge for quite a long time. So now you're going to need to figure out what to do with the grains. My first suggestion is that you just take the grains, you put them back in the jar, you put fresh milk with it, you start the whole process over again making kefir. If you're not ready to make another batch, say you've got some extra right now, more than you're using right now, but you don't want to get rid of these grains, so you need to know how to store them. So how you're going to store them is you're going to put them back in some container. I'm going to go ahead and use the container that I got them originally in, and we're going to put the grains back in here. So after we get them in here, one thing you will notice that as you continue to make batches of kefir, that you'll actually end up with a little bit more each time than you made the time before, maybe 5% or so. So sometimes eventually you'll have trouble fitting it back in this container, you end up with more grains. So what do you do with the extra grains at that point in time? Well, one of the things you can do with this, you can just take them. They're edible. They make an excellent probiotic supplement to eat periodically. If you don't want to do that or you end up with more of them, give them to a friend. So how are you going to store these? So now we've got the kefir grains back in here. You're going to take some fresh milk and you're going to just cover them with fresh milk. This is going to give them a little snack while they're chilling out in the fridge. I'll overflow it a little bit. Just cover them though. Put the lid back on it, store it in the fridge. They'll store like this for a week or two without any problem, but you will every week or two need to go in, drain this liquid out, and add fresh milk into it so that they have something fresh to eat. And then you can pretty much keep them about indefinitely like that. So that is how to make kefir, how to store your grains, and what to do with them. So until next time, I'm Troy Fisher, real food enthusiast for Pasture Lights.